teas first is really what I want to get into. You mentioned a lot of, let's say, unsuccessful teas or teas that you would say wouldn't be safe. What percentage of these teas are you putting a microscope to that you seeing that this is not good, this is bad? Are we looking at 50% or 80% or what?
I mean, if you look at the duration of my career, if you look at teas that other people have brewed that we have worked with, 100% of them I would not pour onto plants by my standards. I know that's a
Wow.
crazy thing to say, right? Yeah. And it has to do with a lot of the tea brewing. So a lot of the vortex tea brewing are super popular. Those can be very effective in the synthetic world. And so what happens is, you see a lot of like cocoa growers that will make like vortexing nutrient pieces of equipment, and they'll call that tea. They're not necessarily putting compost in there. And it's undeniable in those systems, there's really good mixing attributes to that. But if you're adding any sort of synthetic nutrients, it keeps it fairly sterilized. The minute you start putting compost in there, it's just a disease bath. And and that's where I start to sound crazy, because people are like, they're already throwing stuff at the screen. They're like, what are you talking about? I get great results, right? And it comes back to what I said. It's like the minute you put biology into a tank, add aeration and add nutrients, so kelps, humic acids, fish, whatever you're putting in there, you're reducing the size of those molecules and making them more plant available, but at the same time creating moderate to remarkable levels of disease pressure. So you're putting both of those in at the same time. So there'll be a positive plant growth response, and then there'll be powdery mildew to control. So statistically speaking, for my entire career, not once. And then professionally, we stopped brewing tea at farms in 2016, and I went to a project in Colorado, and tea was a good solution for that problem. They were having powdery mildew. It was high elevation, which makes it harder to hit the targets. There's less oxygen, so the likelihood of creating a disease-laden brew is higher. I brewed tea 4 times, and I poured 2 of them on the ground. So 2 of them met my standards, 2 of them didn't. And so, I'd say, and we don't even brew tea anymore. It's just too problematic. If you're talking about commercial hemp, it's the most problematic technique that people like to do, which keeps you struggling with passing microbials, powdery mildew. How you control that powdery mildew affects yield. If you get really bad, you'll end up in russet mites and root aphids and things like that. But again, it's dangerous territory because, those guys or gals tend to think very highly of those tea brews, and they're never going to associate the problems they run into with this thing that they love so dearly, So, the biological aspect is I view it as easy. But again, if you're just coming off the internet trying to get into this, the likelihood of you landing on a successful strategy is pretty low with the information that's available, for sure.
Man, that is super, super interesting. I know a ton of people who brew teas often. Every other week they're brewing some sort of tea and they swear by it. Would you say your general recommendation now, with everything you've learned, is to avoid teas entirely? Or do you think that there's a time and a place for teas?
Well, based on your audience, the word tea gets used many different ways, right? So I have a client right now that's conventional, and they use the word tea. It has nothing to do with what I would call tea. So a lot of times nutrients brewed up and boiled and mixed up in a tank that has nothing to do with biology. They're not incorporating compost, things like that. They use that word tea. So separating those two things out, if you're talking about compost tea, actively aerated compost tea, yeah, the last time I brewed tea professionally was on that project in like March of 2016. So professionally for 10 years, I haven't brewed a single tea. On site, and I don't recommend. We do brew tea on certain situations, but it's like maybe once a year. And basically what we learned through this journey is that from a just strictly biological, right? You have a very diverse audience. So I'm talking just biological, right? Not nutrient teas and things like that. But from just a biological standpoint, if you properly inoculate the root zone, the above ground biomass doesn't need compost tea, basically. And so around 2015, 2016, we started moving away from compost tea, moving to something called compost extract. And basically the difference is, simply put, in a compost tea, you're adding aeration and food sources to to increase the population of the biology, which is where the volatility comes from. And you're basically doing animal husbandry in a tank, or even plant breeding, but not differentiating between male and female plants. Like, no hemp grower on planet Earth would do a breeding project without differentiating between male and female plants and just putting them all in the room. Like, nobody would do that, right? Not a single one, right? So in the biological standpoint, there's good and bad things to have in your cultivation space. So with the compost extract, you remove the volatility. So you're just taking the compost, you're dislodging the organisms from that compost into water, and then you're moving that organism water solution to the root zone. And with teas, they're producing glues so that they could stick to things, and they actually stick to the soil surface, and the penetration is very poor. So if you're brewing a tea, the penetration of organisms in that soil is actually quite low. If you just dislodge them into water, they actually penetrate as deep as the water does. So yeah, my professional advice for the last 10 years has been no compost teas. None. Not one. We do have a couple, like I said, there's a couple projects where we will brew tea for a very specific reason, but typically we can solve everything without having to do tea. Sorry to break hearts. I apologize. I mean to come on and break so many hearts in the first 10 minutes. I apologize.
Sure. I'm sure it does. Yeah, I'd love to know in the comment section below. Do you use teas? If so, how do you go about it? Are you doing some sort of compost extract like Scott is mentioning, or do you have something else that you're doing? Let us know in the comment section below. This clip is brought to you by VivoSun. Use discount code MrGrow15 to save on any of their gardening products. Go to the full episode by clicking the outro card here, or click the link in the description section below. Catch you in the next video.